So I was just thinking about how if you have a mindset that says that every time something unfortunate happens or you're going through something that may not be particularly what you like or what you want to happen, there's always an opportunity inside of every moment of struggle. So I was reading a quote that I believe, what's the lady that did aerobics and fitness and all that back in the day? Jane Fonda. And she was saying, actually, no, it was the other one, Suzanne Summers. And she was saying that in every problem or issue that she ever had in her life, she always came up with a business for it. And so I thought that was a really cool lesson, and that we always remember that, okay, when things are not as wonderful as we want them to be, or we're not getting results that we want to have, use a different perception, look at the bright side, and, it becomes like a broken record, right? But if you actually move that thought a little bit further, you can start to see how, let me turn this off. Okay. You can start to see how, in everything that you feel is negative in your life, there's always an opportunity there. And maybe not for instant manifestation or instant results on something that you want to create, but it's definitely something that's trying to grow within you. And if you can keep in mind that my only purpose is to have faith and to stay open and to be positive and to think about the things that I want to happen in my life instead of what I don't want to happen, then you know that there are processes happening within you that you don't always you're not always privy to until the lesson has been learned. And many times you only know that you've learned the lesson when you're no longer asking the question. So like some things that you have settled on in your life and some things that used to bother you a great deal. And you look around and be like, dang, I remember I used to think about that all the time. Like it never crossed my mind anymore. It's because you've already found the answer for it. You've learned the lesson within that issue and you've been able to move on. So never get discouraged and annoyed with where you are in your process, and always realize that within those uncertain moments or those issues or the negative things or the circumstances that you don't want to see, there's always great opportunity. And whether the opportunity is instant, whether it's over time, whether it's a grand new idea for something that you want to invent or a book you want to write or something you want to do or accomplish, it's always there. So this is how I remember it. There's this game that I play. Oh, I thought I had it in the car with me. There's this game that I play all the time. It's for many players, but I play it by myself. I play it at the coffee shop and everything. It's called Bananagrams. It's in a little banana canvas package, and it's just a bunch of letters because I love words. Probably has to do with me being a writer. I've always loved words. I just like words. I have no idea why, but I like the way the sound of them. I like spelling them. I love being a wordsmith and using them cleverly in a sentence. That's always been fun for me. And so something I realized when playing that game, you pull out 25 letters and you just kind of mix them up and you just randomly pull out 25 letters. Sometimes I'm sitting there with like 10 E's and then the rest, 15 different kind of letters and things like that. And I used to play it and always think, oh man, there's no way I can get an anagram out of this. So an anagram is when you create one word and then you tie them all into each other. Sort of like what a word puzzle looks like in a newspaper, and sort of like what Scrabble looks like. So you create a word and then you attach them all to each other. And my only rule is no 2-letter words because that's just way too easy. And so I'll do this, and every time that I'm creating, I always feel like, these letters aren't going to make it. I used to think like that every time I played, but then somehow I rearrange and then I could create an anagram every single time. So when I think about life and situations, every time I sit next to people or show them this, they always go, oh, nothing there. They're most reluctant to take apart the words they've already spelled and try to rearrange it to create something that encompasses all the letters. And I always find it interesting. Think about that in life. How many things that you've been building or that you are creating, and maybe negative aspects of it are coming out. But there's nothing wrong with tearing down a little bit in order to recreate something bigger. And knowing that even if you have the same materials and tools, you can find a positive outcome in that in that situation, you can find the opportunity if you're willing to look at it differently. And that's always a wonderful thing. Um, Another thing is I have 2 books coming out. So one is a book, White Spaces. It's a novella about an interracial couple. And then the other one is a book called Inequality, a complete critique. Well, what happened was with the Inequality book, I didn't even realize I was writing it. I was kind of forced to write it in one of my classes at school. I was working on inequality and stratification and how in the United States that the 1% has this, all those little humdrum things about society that we hear all the time. So I was having to write these summaries and critiques as it related to the same subject matters and themes consistently. And I was telling some people, I'm writing so much. This is so annoying. I fussed about it the whole semester. I was annoyed with it. I'm like, and nobody's ever going to see this. And then for some reason, towards the middle end, I got really into it. And it took nothing for me to write these really long. Okay, it took nothing for me to write these really long summaries and critiques. But what I realized in the process was that I was learning something about writing, but I couldn't put my finger on it. I was learning about the consistency and not doubting every single word that came to the page, something that I had been aware of in the past, but I hadn't truly learned how to execute in my writing. All that second guessing, it really holds you up sometimes. And it was a beautiful thing to see myself completely create this entire project and then realize at the end of it, I was like, oh my goodness, I just wrote a book. And so I'm really excited about it because I have some really great insight and there's some really great summaries and critiques of some scholarly work that's already out there. And it's about inequality mostly in America. And so what I mean is that, and something that I saw as annoying and the most angry, I was so angry with this class. I wound up creating something that was way more valuable than what I would have created had they said, turn in one research idea at the end of the semester. And so sometimes you got to know that something is happening, something is working in the background. And in these times where we have the most doubt, that's when we usually find the most opportunity. And that is the very truth. So just like someone told me about writing can best be explained as putting yourself out there, like I forget the exact words, like opening yourself completely and sharing who you are with the world. That's how everything else in life is. It's kind of like a revealing process that's always happening. And when things are being revealed, it's not always a beautiful or a wonderful or a pretty time. But know that in that revealing, that there's an opportunity at the end of the road. There's an opportunity in it, at the end of it, for other people through your lessons, always. I was on LinkedIn, wrote something really great about being pulled back in order to be propelled forward. A professor in Seattle sent me a message in the LinkedIn messaging saying how the post that I put out there really changed her mindset when it comes to how she views her life. And I'm like, you think people have heard everything, but everybody hasn't. And just because you've learned your lesson, and it doesn't mean other people haven't either. So just know that everything you're going through, the purpose is for examples for other people, for the opportunities that it's going to create, for the beauty that's unfolding that you just can't see, and for the growth that's happening within you that you're going to use as your wisdom and as your tools to move from one area in your life to the next as navigation. Just keep in mind that nothing goes to waste. Everything is used, and within every difficulty, you're going to find your opportunities. So y'all have a good day.